What's up, everyone? I'm Shafi Malik, and you're listening to the Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast. The premise is simple. One of us picks a film that we know none of the others have seen. The rest of the group watch the film, and we get here to discuss it. Joining me tonight is Dave McHugh.
Who's the black private dick sex machine to all the chicks? Kyle.
Andy Newlands.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick.
And all the way from the somewhat north of England, Kyle Hammond.
Mr. Doublina, Mr. Bob Doublina.
Oh, very good. Here's your warning. We'll be going into heavy spoilers. This episode's choice is Kyle's. Kyle has chosen MID90s, written and directed by Jonah Hill and released in 2018. It follows Stevie, a 13-year-old in 1990s era Los Angeles who spends his summer navigating between his troubled home life and a group of new friends that he meets at a Motor Avenue skate shop. Kyle, why did you pick this film?
I watched it and I liked it, and I thought you guys would like it too. Boring, I know, sorry, but yeah.
No, that's the best idea I've ever heard.
Yeah. That's it. You liked a film you thought your friends would enjoy. Lovely.
We're of that age, aren't we? So we were born 82, 83.
That's what I was going to bring up, yeah.
Mid-90s is our era, but obviously you're the hip-hop boy, grinding down the streets of LA, listening to hip-hop. Whereas Newlands was into his house and whatever, and Dave was into his hip-hop, but Dave and I were more into our Britpop and stuff.
Yeah.
That's our era though, isn't it? 90s.
To the max.
Just a little background to anyone listening to this. So we are all of the same age, all went to school together. And Jonah Hill is a year younger than us. So whatever era he's referring to, and I don't think they specifically refer to a year, but whatever year he's referring to, we would have been a similar age. Andy, would you care to recap this film?
This is one of the greatest films I have ever seen. It is unbelievably good. And oh my God, I cannot tell you how much I got out of this film. I'm not going to go into this now in the intro, but my God, if you're nearly 40 years old now, you should be able to see a little bit of you in every single character in this movie. It is unbelievable. But at a basic level, there is a young 13-year-old boy who's having a fairly tough time at home. He's got an older brother that's physically abusive and a mother that's clearly had some issues, and kind of to escape and, to find himself, if you want to use that phrase, he begins spending time with a mostly older group of skateboarders. And this is, I think it's Los Angeles in the 90s. And I guess on top of this, you could kind of say it's a coming of age. Like, lots of stuff happens to this kid. He's introduced to swearing and smoking and sex and hanging out with guys and finding his role, standing up for himself. It's fucking hell. It's so good, this film. Like, I knew I would love this film from the very beginning, where it's like panning in. The duvet is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's I think that's kind of it. It sounds, maybe that sounds boring, but I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this film.
You didn't mention the skateboard.
Yeah. So obviously, this older group of skateboarders that I was talking about, he finds friendship through them. So a lot of the film is obviously based around skateboarding. So lots of discussions about skateboarding and his love for skateboards, and insanely cool shots of him skating down the road and in parks, and these mad little skate parties where people are just hanging out, just a scene. I guess that's the right word. It's like it's a scene, like a rave scene, a drug scene, a skate scene, whatever it may be. But it's a mad. This is fucking insane. I'm going to say this, but I think this is a masterpiece. I enjoyed it for so many different reasons, and I'll talk about that sort of as the podcast, as the episode goes on. But Kyle, you blow me away with this. I haven't seen. I don't. So for those of you listening, I'm kind of the average man on this. I watch some film, I'll watch Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and then I'll watch some, I'm just a bellend who likes watching mad stuff. But so I don't know what indie films are. You probably can't class this as an indie film, but for me, this is kind of out there on the. I would never watch a film like this without somebody saying, "Look, come and watch this." I thought that about that mad bastard Hindi cow film as well, and that was one of the greatest films of all time. Mm-hmm. So. If you're following this, I hope you are getting as much out of these films as I am, because this is hands down the fucking greatest film about my generation. And I'm just a middle-class white guy from Jersey, so the fact that I can relate to a 13-year-old motherfucking skater from Los Angeles speaks volumes about this film. So that's it in a nutshell. Kudos, mate. This might be the best film we've watched so far.
Kyle, where did you first hear about this film?
I saw Jonah Hill on Instagram, so years ago he was posting about the making of it and stuff. It'd been on my list for ages, and it just randomly saw it on Netflix one day. Added it to my list, and to be honest, it sat on my list for about a year before I finally got around to watching it. And then it was like, when I watched it, it was like a mad dash texting you guys saying, "Dave, can we swap places in the group, please? Because you need to watch this film." So I think I gave you 4 days or 5 days to watch it, didn't I? Sorry.
Something that I thought about is within our sort of school year, there weren't any sort of well-known hardcore skaters in our year, right? Because for those sort of listening, we were raised up in Jersey, and there were surfers, and I think surfers would casually skate. But who were the hardcore skaters in our year?
Me, Kyle, and JP at the Kennebay. Wasn't skateboards though; it was rollerblades. And Luke Robinson.
Me and Austin Dix used to skateboard around the mean streets of Springfield.
That's pretty gangster.
Were you skating all the time though?
Probably one summer I did quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very good. Like, there's a scene in the film where Stevie Sunburn finally does an ollie. I was never good enough to do an ollie. I just went down a hill and I was like, "Oh well, I went down a hill, amazing."
It's because your Eclipse jeans were too long.
Austin was really good, but I think probably best was Dotson, wasn't it?
But Dotson was mainly known as a surfer. A lot of the surfers, like there's a big surf culture where we were raised up, and a lot of the surfers would casually skate. Am I right in saying that, Dave?
Yeah, their love was surfing, and skating, I guess, provides you with something that you can do similarly if you can't get down to the beach. But yeah, the surfing culture feels very simple. Well, felt very similar to that. If you think of St. Juan's and the Splash, and
I used to hang out with a load of these guys, and that the whole film for me, like so much of it was my memories of hanging out with those guys from St. Juan's for 2 or 3 years. Just exactly the same sort of characters. Like,
I'm so uncool, it's unbelievable. I'm just such a geek. I was such a geek. I'm so annoyed with myself.
Pause, delete,
you're regretting that you didn't skate when you were a kid?
Not skate. I think that's a bit American.
Yeah, but you were in the pubs. You were in the corner.
Nah, but this is more
Chris
like when
Andrews.
we were sort of 13, 14.
You went to the pubs when you were 14.
Yeah, you were in there.
Yeah, because I was like 6'1" back then. But it's just like, I don't know, I kind of just wish, just a bit more sort of hanging about. And
if anyone was the geek at school, it'd be me. So let's.
What Dave's saying is, Dave regrets spending 100 hours playing Mario 64 in my house. He'd rather been out fingering girls.
Playing Mario 64 and listening to the Space album is fucking awesome.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like skateboarding. Never appealed to me. I never ever wanted to do it. I don't know why.
So I used to skateboard. None of you will know this, but I used to skateboard at university. So me and my the biggest legend. Yeah. So me and this guy called Vince. He's the coolest, got a big, strong black guy. Like love him to death. He works for NASA now. We went into Harrods and spent like £300-400 on skateboards. Yeah, he works for NASA in the media department, and he's the biggest stoner you've ever met. Like, so we used to go to
we're all spaced out.
The supermarket car parks and skate. Like Kyle, I never got to do an ollie, but honestly, this film just transported me back.
Andy, sort of following on from the fact that your mate was a black guy who was skating. One of my favorite scenes in the film is Jared Carmichael as the security guard.
Yeah.
who sees like what's the guy who's like pretty much the leader. He's like
Ray.
Yeah, he sees Ray and goes, "Why you black? Why are you skating? Surf's up, motherfucker!" Cowabunga. And then
when the other guy says the N-word, he's like, "You can't say that word. You're Samoan."
He goes, Sheryl Crow looking motherfucker.
Yeah, that was real light, nice scene, wasn't it? It was really funny, that scene. It was really, really well written. It's just mad. Yeah, because with what's sort of going on in the media and stuff, like just hearing the N-word constantly in the film, it's kind of like, whoa, it's just weird now. I'm just like, whoa, that hearing that word all the time, regardless of who's saying it, there's just something that really cuts me at the minute.
But then also they have like a conversation. I think it's like one of the earlier scenes when they talk about white people and like their love for pets, and which I was watching it thinking that's right. They do. White people do like treat like pets like a family member, and also I was watching.
Hey Brian,
I rewatched the scene where his mum sort of chastises his friends. You know, she goes into the skate shop and starts having a go at them, and then they go back into the car and Stevie starts like having a go at his mum and starts saying, you know, it's like, shut up, shut the fuck up. And I rewatched that on YouTube, and I'm so glad all the YouTube comments felt the same way that I was. It was like that if I said anything to my parents, like you wouldn't even think about like even saying anything, like raising your voice at your parents. And I think possibly that is because I'm not going to mention any names, but there'd be times where I'd go over to my white friend's house. They would sort of like have a go at their parents and stuff. I'd be like, geez, you're getting away with talking to your parents like that.
Type that into YouTube later, Shafi. Chris Rock on white people parenting. So he basically says that, like.
Well, no, that's a bit in Eddie Murphy's Delirious as well. Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, Mom, shit, I'm doing it as fast as I can, Mom. Come on, Jesus Christ. And he's like, whoa.
And then he said,
that, my dad would just be like,
yeah, he gets a shotgun. They would just shoot him, yeah.
Also, you're a man now, motherfucker. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's interesting that this film doesn't have any, you know, you wouldn't think race is a sort of subject area that it sort of covers, but it made me think about race a bit.
Oh, me too, mate.
But yeah, it's not really part of it. It's a very small part.
It's probably only that one scene, and then the scene where he gets the nickname sunburn, where they're asking him if black people get sunburn. That's probably the only two scenes really that deal with that.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel that this was an unbelievably good film. It really was amazing, and yeah, it blew me away. Actually, I was really, really impressed. Like, and that shot when they're skating down that road with the sort of skate bit for skaters, I guess, in the middle of it was just unbelievable. I could watch that. That's
a Morrissey song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shafi's favourite artist, Morrissey.
One of the most sort of impressive things about the film was I was sort of worried when it says it's written and directed by Jonah Hill. I was expecting possibly the dialogue and the like drama to be sort of forced, and you know, but I think the dialogue sort of it feels very naturalistic, and they're talking like kids would. If it was written and directed like it as a studio movie, then you would sort of hear them kind of talk about, yo man, I'm sorry, you know, they didn't do that. They just sort of sit there and sort of silence, and you can tell like their silence means everything. Well, you know, that says everything rather than, you know, and I think the way the kid articulates himself feels more real than anything, to be honest.
The consistency with each character is incredible. It's like I just don't get how people can write like that well. Like, to be so consistent, so on the money with everything that character says, what they do, it's just incredible. It's like Charles Dickens-esque.
What I was impressed with was that the guy that plays Ray, Nakel Smith, his name, he's not even an actor. He's a skateboarder and a rapper.
Yeah, he's done some stuff for Odd Future.
Wow, he was brilliant.
Like the scene where he talks about his brother dying and stuff. I was like, this guy's never really acted, and does this amazing scene where he talks about how his brother dies. It's like, it's off the chain. Round of applause to that guy.
Is there any chance that actually happened?
No idea. Don't know. Sorry.
I think a lot of it, Jonah Hill's own experience, and he said that all he wanted to do was just recreate the feelings he had during the age. So his older brother, didn't abuse him, and he's got two parents and he's got a sister as well. His sister's in Booksmart, isn't it? Yeah, it's all got to
Who's his sister?
do with. So Booksmart.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? It's one of the two girls out of Booksmart.
Oh,
you'll be able to figure out because they look quite similar.
It. Yeah. I didn't know it was his sister. She's not got the same name.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Jonah Hill's childhood being like that at all. I actually thought he was from New York. I don't know why.
I think he is from LA, I think.
Is he from like Hollywood area or?
Yeah, he said that he, like, every character feels like sort of a part of him. So it's really about sort of recreating the feelings he had during that age. And, one of the main thrusts of it was it's about a kid that wanted to find a family outside of his own family, which is what he was doing. That's why he started skating, because, he wanted to have a group of friends away because he just didn't really fit in anywhere. He's
openly said as well that he was influenced by This Is England, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it, yeah.
I was watching it, I was just popped in and was like, yeah, this is very much like This Is England. I'm waiting for the dark twist at the end. Obviously, there was like a dark turn of events, but obviously not as dark as This Is England. I did get a bit angry at one point because, at that ending, because fuck shit, like, he's fucked up, he crashes the car. Then he's just sat there with him at the end. He would have been arrested, surely.
Probably would have, wouldn't he?
Maybe not in like 1994.
Yeah, that was my one criticism. It was like, that made no sense.
Well, not necessarily in 1994, man. Like, seriously.
Well, drink driving.
Yeah, if no one got hurt or anything, it's kind of like,
Yeah, but you got to be 21 to drink over there, don't you? How old is Clutchit?
17.
They probably weren't. Yeah, they probably weren't even 18. Right. So that's funny because he's a minor as well. Really got away with it.
I know why he's done it, because he wanted the jovial ending and them all to be together.
Yeah.
Threw me from the film a bit. That was the only kind of criticism I've really got.
Yeah, I totally agree.
In the 80s, the lead singer from Motley Crue was driving, crashed. The passenger died. He got 30 days in jail. That's all. Because it was just back then. It was just like, technically you've got into a car with someone you know's pissed, so you are to blame. And back in those days, it's just mad. Like, it was just one of those things.
Isn't Kyle's point that he would have been no matter what he would have ended up being charged with, he would have been in custody of the police? But I guess it depends on how they crashed, right? I mean, if they crashed in a ditch when no one would have noticed, then possibly.
Yeah.
No, but the ambulance would have come though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess. But then the police, the hospital may have sort of called the police at that time. So
but, in LA and stuff, back then it was just nuts, man. It was a car crash with 4 kids. Maybe nothing did.
I think
happen.
the point is though, you've got to. This is the only bit of the film you have to kind of question, because I was totally immersed in this film.
Yeah, there's one other bit as well.
Bit. What was the other bit? Because I might agree with you if I forgot.
Right. So Stevie's like sex whatever scene. So when they filmed it, he was 11, and the girl, I forgot her name, Estee, Alexa Demi, she was 28.
What?
Yeah, so that's like, in real life she was 28. So you've got an 11-year-old kid who's like kissing a 28-year-old. I mean, I think in the film, I think it's probably she took advantage of him in the film, but in real life, that's still a bit fucked up, isn't it? Like, even though it's acting, it's still not on.
Oh yeah, because I was really uncomfortable. I didn't get why that needed to be filmed. It could have just been they could have held hands and gone into the room. I know the film was hyper realistic, but yeah, that did seem a bit fucking fucked up when I was watching. I was like, what the hell?
That's why I asked you about kids, Shafi, because obviously kids is all just a bit fucking.
When Jonah Hill explained it, I didn't realise she was that old, because
neither did I.
He didn't mention how old she was. He went,
apparently she's been lying about her age for years, and it's only like the last few years, because she's been in some other things since, that she's actually come out and said, no, I'm 31, I'm not 22 or whatever.
I thought she was 17, max.
That's why he sort of skipped over saying how old she was, because he goes in that interview, he says that Sonny is 11 years old, and he said and the actress that plays that character is a bit older. He didn't actually sort of specify how old she was, but
3 times as old.
I think Jonah Hill wanted to show that. He said that he wanted to show that the currency of sex. So, like, you know, for that kid, he was in that room, he's sort of very nervous and, you know, he's very quiet. But then when he comes out and he sort of brags it to his mates, you know, it's really sort of a currency of, you know, of like advancing, you know, with your friends.
Did they have sex?
No.
I thought it was just sort of, you know.
He says he fingered her, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever they end up doing.
Should we talk about the brother?
Yeah.
Quite a lot to talk about there.
Lucas Hedges. One thing that I guess we would have to sort of rewatch the scene together because something I didn't really fully understand was Stevie gets home from this party and he's sort of all drunk and fucked up, and then he ends up attacking his brother, and then his brother chases him around the house, and then it's weird, like Stevie takes something from the fridge and then keeps him running, and then his brother sort of gets on top of him and starts beating him down. But then, like, he starts sort of like, then his older brother like covers his eyes and starts crying. So is that just a realization of what he's doing, or is it just?
Yes. And I'd love to comment on that.
So it's kind of he's talking to him earlier. He was saying Mum wasn't always like this. Before you were around, Mum used to smoke. Because he says, "Oh, you smoke now, didn't he?" When before you were around, Mum used to smoke, and there's a lot of different guys around. So it's kind of implied that obviously he's a bit of a shit mum. So his upbringing was probably a bit rough, which is probably why he's the dick he is. And I think that, when he starts, because when he beats him up in the bed before, he's like hitting him in the body, isn't he? But when he's got him that time, he hits him in the face, and then he realizes what he's done, and he breaks down, saying, "I don't want to be like this," kind of thing. But there's actually a cool analogy that they use in the film that. So at the very beginning, when he wants to go into his room, he says to him, "Don't drink my orange juice." And in that scene there, he steals his orange juice. He's like saying, "Look, I'm the big man. I can steal your orange juice." But then at the end, when he's in hospital, he takes some orange juice and gives it to him. So that's probably like an acceptance, saying, "Yeah, you're okay now. You can."
Oh wow, I missed that.
I didn't even think about that. That seems very obvious now. Now you're pointing it out, but
I thought his brother might have been even jealous. As mad as it sounds, like, Jesus, my younger brother's cooler than me already.
Definitely. I think there's rumours on Reddit as well that his brother's gay, and when he calls him the F word, he gets all triggered, and that's why he beats him up. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Interesting.
Andy, what did you want to say about the brother?
Yeah, no, basically you nailed it there. It was just like, I was essentially just going to say, like, although on the face of it, you could come across like and just say, like, I think it was Ian, what was his name?
Yeah, it's Ian.
Is like a, you know, an asshole and all the rest of it. I think as a character, he's deeply been disturbed by like his upbringing, and then, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly had times in my teens where you just did crazy stupid stuff, and, you know, sometimes that came through aggression, not physical violence or anything, but like I actually remembered, like, this is so ridiculous, and like I actually hope this makes you laugh, but like once I was so pissed off about something, I was like chasing my cat around the fucking house, like trying to scare the cat. And it's ridiculous. This poor cat hasn't done anything, but this anger and rage is pouring out of me at like, I don't know, like 14 or 15 or something. This cat's done nothing. And then I realised, I just remember being like, yeah, exactly, like an angry Benny Hill. But like, sometimes you just, I don't know, maybe it's a adolescent male trait, but like, I actually felt very sorry for the guy. But I loved it when they were like, just sitting there playing games together, and they were like opening up a little bit, like that was a really cool scene for me, like, because there's more to this guy.
Yeah, that scene opened where he'd bumped into them in the street, and
Yeah.
that was great. That scene.
yeah, and obviously he realised that his brother's probably cooler than him now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this was insane, but when I watched this movie, I fucking almost rang all of you to say that I loved you all, because it just was like, I was so glad that I had the group of friends that I had when I was growing up, because although I'm not a skater and I'm not in Los Angeles, there was so much of this that I like fuck shit is that bit of my personality when I went to house parties and went insane. Fourth grader was my weird arty side, where I'd be like filming stuff with Shafi about Red Dwarf and chatting to you, Carl, about crazy films and stuff, you know, like Esty, the girl, she's like, you know, the girls at Mark's house party that you'd be like getting off with.
Or 28 years old.
Well, not 28, but like, Ian, the brother, he was my kind of aggressive, toxic masculinity shit that came out through teenage years. Like, and Ray was just sometimes when you're just nailing it, when you just have to just be calm, cool, and nailing it. I thought all of those characters together, like, I don't think Jonah Hill meant this, but it was like a really cool way of showing all the different personality traits that a person can have through the adolescent period. I just thought this film was fucking amazing. Like,
yeah, they could all be one person if they sort of
it was just awesome. Like, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this. And
the way you describe that, it's making me think of a film called Where the Wild Things Are, and
right, next week, let's do it.
It's about a kid that runs away from home, and then he ends up sort of living in this sort of imaginative world with these different monsters. But these different monsters basically represent each bit of his personality as a kid.
Oh wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
really good. And just harking back to what somebody said a minute ago, like, is the acting and the realism of this movie is next level, because when they're hanging out at the skate park, like, we've all done that, whether we've been drinking in a forest or sitting on the beach, or I almost felt like I was there sometimes with these guys, and like, even when they were like just sitting playing that game, like you remember doing that. And Shafi, like, honestly, I have exploded at my mum like that, like in my very, very young days as well, like when you just feel completely, like, rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, but smothered by your parent, and you're too young to escape you know, the apron strings, but you think you're a big man at 13 or 14 or whatever. I just couldn't believe how good this film was, and how well it represented, like, different times that I reckon a lot of adolescents experience, even though these guys are on the other side of the world, like in Los Angeles. I just relate it to so much. And just the mad, like, the conversations they have just about, wouldn't it be cool to be a skater, and you know, fourth grader filming things, and like just seeing the younger kids like nervous and trying to be cool and smoking, and like even the mad things, like when he gets home and he's like spraying himself with like whatever their version of Lynx is, and you know, scrubbing his tongue. I remember doing that at youth clubs and stuff. Like, I was really, really surprised how similar the like experience was set up on screen as to like what I experienced. It was and the close knit friendship as well.
I've got a quick game then, Andy. Since you were talking about it, we'll let you you do the game. So, out of us four, who would we each be of the characters?
Ooh, cheeky.
Oh my god! This is gonna get awful.
Don't just say that Shafi is Ray because he's got not quite.
Well, funny you say that. I don't.
Obviously, I am Ray.
I don't think anyone else could be. Yeah, well, Shafi would have to be Ray.
Because he's the leader of the podcast.
Yeah, oh, look, here we go. Look, Dave's the first one to object there.
No, just because Shafi's always on the like.
Fucking wank. Dave, you're the mum.
It's fine by me.
Dave's fuck shit, surely, come on.
No, he's not. No way he's cool as fuck. His fuck shit was funny.
Dave's kind of, if fourth grader had sex with fuck shit and then the child that came out would be... No, I don't know. Oh, Kyle, I don't know. You're the other ones. You're too cool. You're too cool.
Don't make me Ruben. Please don't make me Ruben.
No, you can't. You know, that's what I mean. You can't be Ruben. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, I think you'd be like maybe the security guards, just like keeping it on the fucking down low. Like,
oh, I wish I was funny though.
Or maybe one of those black dudes that Ray goes and speaks to in the skate park, and like,
oh, I love
Ruben
that scene. I absolutely love that scene.
Yeah. But no, I think closest character-wise is...
Why couldn't we have done this game when after we watched the Avengers and decided who was which Avenger?
Fucking hell. Or Blood Simple. Fucking hell. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Honestly.
Cool.
If you're out there and you haven't watched this film, please watch it. It doesn't matter where you're from.
I can't believe I didn't know about it. I had no idea. I had no idea Jonah Hill even directed a film, let alone written and directed.
I've never watched a film that has like put on screen a situation or a scenario. I've never been to Los Angeles. I've never skated like that or whatever, but I felt I'd lived it because I had in an English way, like, if that makes sense.
It's really, really, really impressive, isn't it?
It like transcends. It's like I've lived the Jersey Channel Islands sea. Like that film, what is just my life in America. If I could see myself being in that group. Like, it's just fucking tremendous. Like, I'm actually blown away by how good this was.
I could never see myself sort of falling into that sort of a crew and stuff, especially when I was younger. It just wouldn't have happened. But I, for some reason, I still feel it's relatable. But I don't know. Maybe it's not relatable. It's just the fact that it feels so hyper realistic. It's almost like you were just watching them. You were another kid. You were like a fifth kid that just sort of was nearby watching them. It just felt so real. And that's what I loved about it. It just felt so real.
Do you think that realism was helped by the fact it was film and 4:3 rather than digital 16:9 kind of?
I don't know. I don't know.
For me, it was really dark in places. I had to turn the brightness like max on my telly because I couldn't really see what was going on. That was, only slight criticism, but I thought it added to the hyper realistically of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible, and even to then actually switch to like what the camera would have been back in the day, a handheld camera quality. Yeah, I can't describe it, but I
know that's the thing.
It's so unique. It's just something. It's so unique. I don't know what it was. It just felt. It doesn't feel like.
Because sometimes it's like a documentary, like just for seconds here and there, and then it's like.
Yeah, it's just weird because nothing happens really, does it? Nothing really happens.
That's the thing.
It's so good. It's just like, wow.
Jonah Hill said that in that final scene is basically the last scene where before they all split up, because he says it's obvious that Ray and fuck shit are going in different directions, and it's basically that them in that hospital room is the last time they're basically together.
So that's why I almost burst into tears and was going to call you all, because
it shows basically that if anyone, about kind of what the beginning, middle, and end of this film is, it's basically the formation of someone kind of going into a kind of a friendship group, and then that group sort of splitting apart.
What did you think of the film, Shafi? We don't really ask you normally.
No, I thought that's what I thought was really good was that it didn't pander to the kids talked like kids basically. There were no big monologue where a kid goes, oh, he sort of apologizes to his mum and says, I'm sorry, I've been da-da-da and all that stuff. And you know what? I was going to sort of go on this rant, but I don't really want to, because I think sort of be positive talk about positive things about this film. And but I think that was my trepidation, because Jonah Hill has been in films directed by Judd Apatow, and Judd Apatow is, I feel his films are full of that artifice where it feels like they have to like there has to be a certain structure of the story, and it always seems that in even the notes that even so another sort of protege of Judd Apatow's Seth Rogen, even his films, they feel like they sort of have to fit a structure where there's two friends or whatever, there's two people, they've got a relationship at the beginning of the film, they end up end up breaking apart, but then they get back together again, and it's sort of it's part of the joke about calling it a bromance. And Jonah Hill wrote the Jump Street films, and in a way it's sort of used as a joke, the whole little bromance part, but it does really feel like the hand, like the unseen hand of like story structure kind of dictates how those films go, you know, and it feels slightly cringy when you know, these characters have to sort of make up at the end, where, you know, this, as I said, this film doesn't really have that. It doesn't, you know, they don't have to say, oh, I'm sorry I did this, or I'm sorry I sort of started a fight on you, whatever.
No, you just give it some orange juice instead.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's you know, the things that are unsaid say a lot more, to be honest, and I think that's what really impressed me, I think.
Fuck, that was quality what you said there.
What was the song that was on the very, when they show the film at the end?
It's Passing Me by Far Side. To be honest, that was the one moment I did feel like there was a bit of artifice in it. It felt like things were sort of, you know, tied up in a nice bow, sort of like a little cherry on top. I felt like it didn't really need that little. I know it's neat, it's slick to end it on that point regarding the video that they watched, but you know, I think that was the one point where it felt like, oh, we've got to tie things up, and this is how we're going to tie it up.
I still think it was nice they did that. It
did come out of nowhere for me, but I did. To be honest, I quite liked it, but it did seem like it just, oh, that's it.
It was the end credits.
Because it's quite a short film as well, isn't it? It's not long.
That's Welsh, yeah, but it's good. I'm glad it was short.
It's interesting, the fact that fourth grade, they say he's like the poorest kid, but then like, how was he able to get hold of editing equipment and all that stuff to put that together?
AV club at school, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's some holidays, though, isn't it?
Probably just broke here.
Go on then, Shafi, talk about some more hip hop, because I know Jonah Hill said this is his ode to 90s hip hop, isn't he?
Well, yeah. What was everyone's musical highlights of this film? I think for me, it's probably Big L's Put It On, because I love that track.
Wow, me too. I was literally, wow, yeah, Big L. I love that album. That's amazing. 8 is enough. Amazing my favourite track from that. I love that song.
Dave got me into that about a year ago, just sent me a random playlist. I'm like, who's this Big L? I've never heard of him.
Big L, rest in peace.
For me, it was I said it to Dave earlier, actually, the scene where they jump the roof. It's a band I never heard of called Amiga. It's like a 60s Hungarian band.
Yeah, it's
That's been, there's all the trailers and stuff as well, and it's called Pearls in Her Hair, the song. But that guitar riff is just amazing, like 60s guitar riff when they're jumping over that gap.
I love, they've got 2 tracks from the Far Side album, Bizarre Rides, and that whole album is just incredible. And those 2 albums really suit it, because that album is sort of, the cover is them on a sort of roller coaster, kind of cartoony roller coaster, and that sort of movement, I feel, that sort of mirrors their wild roller coaster ride within the film and the actual physical act of skateboarding and stuff. Those songs are great.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. That was quality. That was this podcast is so good now, by the way. Listen to what we're saying. Wow.
When you were talking about the brother, like as in his relationship with his brother, well, that's what I used to do regarding like the albums that I wanted to hear that my brother owned. I would wait for him to like leave the house, and then I would basically sneak into his room and sort of just nick all his CDs and sort of like, you know, make tapes of them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because around that era, I'm not sure who just explained, I think Kyle said it right at the beginning of the podcast, that you know, you're either into like the Britpop, the sort of the guitar stuff, or you would, if you weren't into that, you would have to sort of search for something that sounded different. That era was basically when I was sort of, that's what Jonah Hill describes, sort of why he's put so much hip hop into this film, was because that was his relationship of feeling like an outsider. So he had to sort of, you know, try and sort of search for like the hip hop. And you know, you see those shots in his brother's bedroom where there's like Stretch and Bobbito, you know, mixtapes, and you know, all of that. That was kind of like the mid-90s was the era where there were, as far as like British music, the British music landscape was either, you know, kind of guitar music, you know, mainly by white people, or like if you were a person of color. I mean, the thing is, I was explaining this to Liz,
hold on. Skunk and Nancy had a black person.
I said mostly white people. I said mostly white people. But Liz was like, hold on, but you're not black. And I was like, no, but it doesn't make it. And I think there was, I can't remember who said it in Ramesh Ranganathan's podcast. He said that it doesn't matter if you're a person of color, you were looking for someone that was another person of color that was making music that was sort of just as, you know, compelling, and that's what I was doing. It's probably what Jonah Hill was doing, because he felt like an outsider. That's why he was sort of searching for hip hop.
I'm a middle class white person, and I was searching and I found leftism, Prodigy, Stained, and Limp Bizkit.
Nice.
And if you're interested, because you're all leaving me out of this music section of the podcast, was outrageous. My favourite song was "Where Did You Sleep Last Night" by Nirvana. If anyone gives a fuck.
Nice.
Thanks.
A lot of the questions that were coming to him is, how did you come up with a music budget for this? Because there were some pretty big kind of artists on the soundtrack, and he basically wrote letters to each of the artists, kind of with a kind of meaningful letter of how much this song sort of meant to him in his sort of childhood. So he wouldn't really you know, so they would just end up giving his permission. And the first person he wrote to was Morrissey, and he said, and then he didn't think that Morrissey would write back, but he wrote back saying, "I can't wait to check out MID90s."
And then Morrissey got together with Public Enemy and went mental. I also like Cypress Hill, When the Shit Goes Down. That was quality, that bit.
Yeah.
Cypress Hill was big with skaters, right?
To the max. The
Stoners and skaters.
Beastie Boys was also big in my my Ford.
Between 94 and 99, there was just too much good music to take in. It's only now, going back, listening to it, that I like so much stuff from that era.
Exactly. Like, I wasn't into hip hop at all then, but now that's the best hip hop. Definitely.
Yeah, to the max, mate.
It's just insane.
Well done, Kyle. Very, very good, mate.
Yeah, really good show.
Yeah, that's another thing, is he said that he wanted to make sure that this wasn't a nostalgia porn film and it wasn't a skateboarder porn film, but definitely the nostalgia porn thing really winds me up in films anyway. Like usually when there's films set in the 80s or 90s, they basically use that as the punchline. Like a film like The Wedding Singer, the jokes are, remember this, the Flock of Seagulls haircut, remember, where it wasn't really so in your face about the sort of era that they're in. It was,
I thought it was going to go that way in the opening scene when everything in the bedroom was like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that, but because they didn't sort of reference back to that, they didn't zoom in on it and all that. Like, I agree with you that you just kind of, and like little things as well, like I love the bit where he was putting posters up. Like, I remember how important it was as a little boy, what posters you were putting up in your, that was like a major fucking, I'm pretty sure, Carl, I remember you and Shay arguing about like what put up in your room.
Probably, yeah.
He didn't just do that, but he got a skate magazine and cut out the pages and put it, and Dave, do you remember I used to do that? I used to buy the Face magazine, and I used to buy, there was like one issue where it was like about heroes, and there'd be like, there was like they would do like photography of like Muhammad Ali, Crazy Legs,
Yeah.
a different superhero stuff. I just basically cut out pages of these magazines and put them on my wall.
A Right Said Fred.
Dave, do you remember you did that of Loaded? And you put Scully and Mulder up on your wall, and you'd like practice your jizzing.
Nothing wrong with
Not
that.
good, eh?
Excellent.
No, nothing wrong. I did it as well. I did that, no problem.
What was the console? Was it the SNES? It was a Super
Well,
Nintendo.
he tries to kill himself with it. We've not talked about that at all, have we? The self-harm stuff.
Oh, the asphyxiation.
Well, he does it
that
at the
was
very
the
beginning. He
SNES.
gets the brush and like rubs his leg, and then he obviously tries to jump that gap because he don't care if he lives or dies, and tries to obviously strangle himself. But obviously, he's got some issues, hasn't he? Probably doing a podcast now.
Jonah Hill, he said that it's crazy to think that these chords would be in someone's bedroom for any kid to sort of, it's the most dangerous thing ever, like having these sort of chords. I don't know when they sort of switched to cordless.
I
Cordless
never thought
controllers.
about that. I never thought about that.
It'd be pretty difficult to hang yourself with a computer game controller, I think. Maybe you could do it, but I don't know. It's not very long.
I don't know, it's just two kids fighting over a game, and one ends up grabbing a cord and strangling his mate because he beat him at NBA Jam.
Honestly, mate, Libby and Ethan would have done that like it's over Minecraft. It's ridiculous. Fuck, I want to watch this film again right now.
It's gone off Netflix now, man. Though annoying.
Oh, that's a shame, man. I love the shooting of LA as well.
Just that shot.
Yeah.
Or just going down skateboarding down through that main road. I just can't get enough of that. I watch that every day.
Even the skater party where the scouts are for like there's like the sun sort of shining over the kids and ESG playing in the background. It's like you just love to go to that party, even though like you can't skate.
Do you remember those guys? Like when us guys used to go to town and like remember Chicago Rock? You know those days. It was just they just nailed that carefree time in your life where you're just out, you're hanging with your mates. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just I didn't even know it at the time, but looking back, you can almost feel it when you think of a memory like that. Going to the cinema or just hanging out, or just walking about doing silly stuff. Like they got that feeling and they just transposed it fantastically onto the screen. Well done, Jonah Hill.
It'd be nice having nothing to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this is the thing. Imagine, like it's fucking insane looking back actually at how wonderful those times were without really knowing the difficulties that laid ahead.
Andy, did you notice sort of instead of like the needle drops, did you kind of notice the incidental music in the film?
So thank you for including me now in the music bit, but you've gone well over my head, so I'll pass you over to Dave and Kyle, and I will learn at the same time as the listeners. But thank you.
Kyle, do you have like a favourite Trent Reznor Atticus Ross score? I'm
probably not as well versed as you, but I can't really think of this and Soul, and I think I prefer this to this. I mean, the main song, the start of things, where that's like the beginning of the film and it's used later on and stuff, just that ambient kind of low hum and then that really nice guitar just like shimmering. It's amazing.
Has he done a computer game soundtrack as well? I'm sure
he did. He did one, the game Quake.
Oh.
I think he did like some tracks.
That was sort of like just a bit after Doom.
They're legends, aren't they?
I think this podcast is funnier when we choose films that we don't like.
yeah. I think when we all get on and we're all on the same page, but our listeners might just fuck off.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
As well as doing the spoiler warning, I was going to give a warning saying, by the way, if you listened to last week's episode and you were a bit put off about how many wanking jokes there are going to be no wanking jokes in this episode. But the last episode was the funniest one. Yeah, so this is the time of the podcast to get everyone's one-word review.
It's the one-word review, the one-word review, the one-word review from us to you.
Except for Dave, who spends 15 minutes talking about being so gritty.
Kyle, what's your one-word review?
Oh, me first. Fuck.
Oh, fuck shit.
Rad.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cowabunga.
Rad, all right, Donatello. Chill out, mate. What time's Robin Hood? Rad, man.
Andy, what's your one-word review?
Reflection.
What?
I had one. Anyway, go on. Dave, what's your one-word review?
You go first. I'll go last.
20 minutes later.
My one word is connection.
Oh,
Nice.
yes.
Wow.
Yes, Shafi. I wish I'd thought of that. You're so much better than me at everything.
Hey, that's good. Your reflection sounds better, to be honest.
Yeah, but connection is so exactly how I feel about this film.
I've just got
Okay.
in my head, dun, 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 dun,
Jonah Hill, yeah.
Yeah. Get myself
That's connected. That's connected.
And Rihanna, what's your word? You look like the baby if Rihanna fucked the policeman from South Park.
That's the look I'm going for. So my one word for this is that I watched Boyhood about a year ago, and I really didn't enjoy it. It bored me. I didn't get it. It's 3 hours. It felt like they repeated one of the stories twice. I just didn't get it, but everyone seems to love it. And I'm wondering what I'm missing. And I think the thing about, I don't enjoy coming of age films. And I think maybe that's because I didn't come of age. I'm still very childlike. So maybe that might be a reason. And then I watched Girlhood. I watched Girlhood the other day, another coming of age movie, which I really, really enjoyed. But I still don't think I liked it as much as the rest. Don't interrupt my one word. So then I enjoyed Girlhood more than I did Boyhood. And and maybe I'm beginning to understand coming of age movies. I watched Say Anything, and I really enjoyed that. And I think I'm getting to a point where I understand coming of age movies. And this coming of age movie is the best coming of age movie I've ever seen. So my one word is, it's the best. And I'm going to watch Boyhood again in this new mindset.
That's 3 words, though. It's the best. It's 3 words.
Get with the program, Andy. That's how he does it.
My review of this film is, it's the best.
my one word is 20-minute introduction for my one word. Gets to one word. It's the best. That's the most mental fucking ending ever. It's the best.
My one word is finest. How about that? Finest.
No, I prefer it's the best.
Right, it's the best, yeah.
My one word is it's the best. That's great. That's great. That's what the title of this episode should be. Fucking hell. That's great.
Okay, so it comes to that point in the episode where we're going to be handing the baton, and this time for the next episode, it is Dave's choice. So, Dave,
it's the best.
Dave, what is your film choice?
What's your
for our
one
next
film?
episode?
And then you tell us to watch 3 films.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It gives us a whole genre of films to watch.
I've literally got no
Gritty.
idea what Dave's going to choose, by the way. I know that Andy's going to choose some car film.
I don't know. Honestly, I know. I'm sorry, guys. There's nothing going fast. There's no spaceships. There's no balls. There's no cars. There's no skateboarding. So none of you are going to enjoy it because there's nothing going fast in it. If anything, it's a slow-paced, slow burner, kind of gritty. Do you know what I mean? Like simple, like a kind of simple.
Okay, don't talk about the film. Please tell us what the title of the film is.
Paris, Texas.
God.
Do any of you know?
Andy. Yeah, I know it, and I've seen it.
Have you seen
I'm
it?
looking it up now.
Yeah.
Paris, Texas.
All I'm going to say is good luck, Andy.
A 1984. Oh, fuck it out. Here we go.
Same year as Blood Simple.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just going to say,
I've got
Andy,
food
if you,
What is it?
you've really, yeah, I tell you what, if you Paris, Texas, Texas.
A dishevelled man who wanders out of the desert seems to have no idea who he is. When a stranger manages to contact his brother, Travis is awkwardly reunited with his sibling. Oh, God. I already hate Travis. Who the fuck? Oh, my God. It's got
So it's 3 on 4.
Harry
is it?
Stanton in. The maddest bastard alive. Okay.
Yeah, he's got the legend. That actor is a legend. Look at his cat.
So all of the stills on Google Images look exactly like the stills from Blood Simple.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making. But anyway,
Oh,
okay.
Because the background's the same year,
so
1984.
is this it? Is it every 4 weeks I've got to watch a different version of Blood Simple from the 80s until I like it? That's what this has become now.
I'm training.
Okay.
I'm doing
So
some
listen,
Pavlovian conditioning.
let's not talk about
Okay.
this. Let's not talk about the film. Okay.
Do they sweat
Cool.
in
All
this
right,
as
well-
much as they do in Blood Simple?
That's a very sweaty film. It is a very sweaty film.
Probably.
This is the best. Oh man,
Okay,
that's one of the
so-
funniest fucking things.
All right. Okay. So that is it. So that's something to look forward to for the next episode.
Is
So
it?
you've been listening to Drop the Popcorn podcast.
It's the best. Bye.
I'm just going to go find my N64 controller to strangle myself. So yeah.
I'm gonna put my Bill Clinton mask on and jizz myself to sleep.